Session 11A, web-based information systems. We have a change of speaker due to airline difficulties, I believe. The third talk will be Paul van Genuten, talking about Inspire as best practice, just in case anybody was feeling dozy and after lunch wanted to sleep. We're going to start off with Maria, and she's going to talk about GeoNetwork state of the art and no cat pictures.
No cat pictures. Hi, I'm Maria. I always think that this kind of talks are good in these conferences because usually when you are not working on a daily basis with some of the software, you don't know what is going on that project. So first things first, I work at GeoCat. No, there are cats on the, I'm sorry. GeoCat is one of the sponsors of this conference and many other events, and OSGeo also. So you should, well, no, because there are a lot of new people here, but you will get used to see GeoCat everywhere. We work with doing special data infrastructures with open software. We have GeoCat Live, which is like a hosting solution for special data infrastructure in the cloud. We work with GeoNetwork, GeoServer, MapServer, PostGIS, QGIS. We also have GeoCat Bridge, which is an extension to ArcGIS Desktop that allows you to publish to open source servers. So we have all the full stack for a special data infrastructure. So, and as we work with GeoNetwork, in fact, GeoCat was one of the GeoCat founder is the founder of GeoNetwork too. So I am one of the core developers of GeoNetwork, and I'm going to present you a bit the state of the art, the state of GeoNetwork right now. This is a graph from SourceForge, because we still have GeoNetwork installers and Word files in SourceForge. So you can see there's more or less a stable, very big, a couple of thousand downloads every month. And every month? No, every year. This is the beginning when we start placing GeoNetwork on SourceForge in 2008. And 10 years later, it's a slowly increase. This big peak was when we, in January 2016, was when we released version 3, which was a huge advancement from version 2. So there was a lot of interest in it. But it's true that this graph does not show all the downloads and all the usage of GeoNetwork because, well, first, because not everyone downloads from SourceForge. Some people just check out the code and build their own instance, but also because now we have Docker images from last year, thanks to Joanna and Oscar. I don't know if he's here. So in the last years, you can see there's kind of a tendency going down, but probably that's because people are starting to use the Docker images for testing and not using the installer on the website. This is a quick overview of the health of the project, I think. I'm starting to build this kind of statistics from data from GitHub. I still have to do a more extensive statistic, but this is, I think, a good measure of how we are improving inside the project, because these are the total number of pull requests proposed per year, and the blue ones are the merged ones, so they are the ones accepted. And you can see that in 2013, 2014, 2015, and 16, more or less the number is the same. And then there is like some increase in the number of pull requests. This is because mid-2016 we decided to forbid all the direct commits to the repository and start using more pull requests. And you can see that the first half of 2018, we almost have as many pull requests as 2017, which means we are doing a lot of more discussions on the pull requests. We are doing a lot of more clear work or obvious work or visible work for the rest of the community. You can see also that the number of pull requests that are not merged is not very big. There's always some percentage of pull requests that are just, okay, I'm going to I propose, or someone propose one pull request, and then somebody else comes and say, okay, but I was doing exactly the same, but with this other approach that is better, or with this other enhancement, and is in this other pull request. So you close the pull request, but that doesn't mean that the work is lost. It's just that it is in another different pull request. So the number of rejected work is even less than what is shown there. This is one of the statistics from GitHub that you can see on the Insights tab, I think. And you can see that one of the main issues we have is that it's mostly developed by Europeans. And saying this on the FOSS4GE Europe maybe is not a big issue because we are all Europeans, or most of us are Europeans. But that means that we are very focused on inspired directives, on what the Europeans need, and maybe the rest of the world does not have by default all the configurations or all the things that they will need on a spatial catalog. And also another interesting thing that you can see by the time is Europeans in their work time. So that means that this is not a project that is being done on our free time, or I didn't say what GeoNetwork was, now I realize. GeoNetwork is a spatial data catalog. So that means that this is mostly used for work or for business. Not like, for example, QGIS. Maybe you want to use something, to develop something for QGIS in your free time because this is some hobby you have or something. So this is what the statistics said. Every year in June we have the Bolsena Code Sprint. Bolsena is a very nice town in Italy. And they have this convento that is no longer a convento, it's a hostel. So we meet there, all the GeoNetwork developers, or as much GeoNetwork developers as we can get. For example, I haven't seen the GeoSolutions there for a long time. You should come again. And there we try to catch up and share our roadmaps, share our feelings, try to organize a bit the work for the rest of the year, try to close as much issues and pull requests as we can, because we are face-to-face and it's quickly to solve any possible conflicts or find a way to merge different branches of work or different approaches of work. And of course, you are all invited if you are, it's not only for developers, it's also for users. So users can be there and say, okay, I want to contribute to GeoNetwork. Maybe I'm not a developer, but I can do translations, I can do testing, I can do tutorials. I can help the developers understand why something is not working, because maybe I, as a developer, I'm quite sure that something is working because I always click in the same order, but if you do it slightly different, or your use case is slightly different to what I have in mind, then maybe it doesn't work as good as it should. So having feedback from users is very useful. So you are all invited to the Bolsena Code Sprint, and also there's people going to the Bolsena Code Sprint that are not GeoNetwork related. That's also welcome. But this is the main place where the core of GeoNetwork meet, usually. Some recent developments, there has been a lot of improvement on accessibility and on usability, and we are improving more on accessibility. We are trying to comply with all these accessibility guidelines. In GeoCat, we have a designer, which is Michel, which has been working with us for 2 years already. So he has, and you can notice that the user interface of GeoNetwork has improved a lot since he joined the company, because a lot of small things that maybe we don't care as developers because we don't know about usability. We have not studied usability stuff. And then he said, no, but if instead of doing this, you do this small tweak, then everything is, you say, oh, that's right, it's easier for users. And this is the kind of stuff you can see now on the user interface of GeoNetwork. We have also improved the user feedback. Before, the only user feedback you could have in GeoNetwork was like a 5-star rate. So you can say, okay, this is 1 star, this is 5 star per metadata, per entry on the catalog. But that was not very useful, because what does it mean that it has 1 star? That the quality is not good, that you didn't like the data because it's not what you were looking for, that the description of the data is not right, that the data has not been maintained for a long time, that it contains errors, that it's not accurate. You don't know exactly what that means. So now we have improved the user feedback, also using open data to describe this user feedback, which means that it's easily understandable by crawl engines or other kind of platforms that may search or crawl or catalog to check about data. And then you can add a comment, and then you still have this 5-star rating system, but it's not only a 5-star, but it's separated in different attributes. So maybe you can say, okay, the quality is very good, but the definition, the keywords are very bad, or it's not maintained frequently enough, or it's old data already. So it's more useful for maintainers. And also, it's more social network-like, so it may attract more users to interact and contribute and help making your catalog better. We are doing a lot of refactoring inside your network, because it's true that sometimes we have a lot of hard-coded elements, like the gazetteer, when you are in the map and you have the search text box where you can search for locations, and that is translated to some place on the map. Before it was hard-coded, you can only use one service. Now you can configure the URL and use your own service, maybe because you have a different language, maybe because you have a different type of things you want to show in the search box. Other things we are trying to make less hard-coded, and here Astun is helping, is the projection map in the map, because the projection is hard-coded everywhere. This is incredibly stupid for data catalog. And one of the things that we expect to include on the future versions is a drop-down box, so you can select on the fly which projection you want to use on the map. So when you search for data and you preview it inside GeoNetwork, you can change between different projections. So in case you are using a projection on the map that is not supported by this service you want to try, then you can change the projection and see the layer. We have done more audits and bug fixes. This is a constant every year. We are trying, in previous years, for example, Eurostat has helped a lot, because they have a very intense testing for security and making sure it works fine, and there's nothing, mostly on security, but also on other kinds of testings. And that has cleaned a lot GeoNetwork source code, especially between version 3.0 and 3.2. But we are still auditing every time a company offers us this kind of, a customer says, okay, can we run this? If we run this and we tell you where the books are you going to take a look and try to fix it? Sure. And there's a lot of bug fixes that have been fixed. And we are also improving the testing suite. We are trying to, because until now all the tests were unit tests, or not unit tests, but on the back end, and now we are adding testing on the front end, which is something experimental yet. The REST API, if you were here on the previous session, you already know what a REST API is. The idea is that instead of having an API that is very particular to GeoNetwork and very customized to GeoNetwork, we use a REST API, which is something much more generic and easier to understand. And we are migrating all the services to this REST API, which will also help in the future if someone wants to interact with GeoNetwork, maybe with a completely external user interface, or maybe with some third-party app that runs on the console. You can do it through this REST API. Incoming developments. I didn't know if I should put a lot of things here or if it will be fine to put just the most important ones. But after Bolsena, I decided to place only this incoming development. Why? Because this is a long-wanted feature. We want to move from Lucene to Elasticsearch. And this is something that is expensive, and it is something that is very difficult, and it is something like that we can find someone that can fully pay for it. So we are looking for sponsors for this. If you're using your network and you want your network to be really scalable, clusterizable, to be able to crawl the index using third-party apps through the Elasticsearch API, if you want it to be faster and have better support for spatial queries, and you want it to be more resilient, more stable, better in general, it's a good time to say, hey, I have an entity that is using your network. We have this remnant of budget. Maybe we can all join and together get enough budget. Or even if you don't have budget, but you have some developer that can help, this is also welcome. I don't care if it's money because you don't know how to do it or you don't have anyone to do it, or if it's a developer, everything is welcome here. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is the new way of working we have. First, before, we had a very random way of defining what a new version is, because we have the major releases, which are the version 1, version 2, version 3. More or less that's clear. If we are breaking compatibility backwards, then it's a new version. But the minor releases and the patch releases were very blurry, because the patch releases were also adding features. They were not only patches for bugs. So we have decided to stop doing that. We are going to focus all the developments on master branch. We are going to have more minor releases, like twice a year, although it will depend on how many developments there are, but more or less every 6 months there will be a version with new features, and between those minor versions, every 6 months, we will only release patches for bug fixing. So this will mean that we will not have surprise versions every 3 months with new features, but that also means that it will be much more stable, and you will know exactly when the releases are going to be done. We are still migrating to the system, so version 4.3 still is a patch release, considering the number, but it will have features, but that's the last one that is going to have features. And it was supposed to be finished by this week, but I guess that as this is the last one, it's taking a bit longer. And that's it. If you have any questions or something, you are sleepy?
You were talking about reprojection, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the topic of my next presentation.
Good.
So it catch my attention. What is it that's doing the reprojection on the fly?
Well, why not
Are you doing it? GeoServer is about to be removed from GeoNetwork as the default map renderer or whatever, because you are moving to use just OpenStreetMap and stuff like that, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, the thing is that first there are some countries or there are some entities that want to have their map on a different projection, and right now there's a lot of hard-coded stuff.
Right.
So
that's
has
why
to
I
be
was
fixed.
wondering.
That has to be fixed. But the other way is, the other thing is that we are using reprojection on the fly with open layers. That's true. But sometimes that doesn't work fine, or it's not what people expect, or they want a specific projection, or We just want to make it more configurable. It's something that the customers ask. You will have to ask them. I don't know if Ian has some use case. No, because that has been Joe Cook. That was you. No, but I mean, if you have a clear use case of why this is needed, I think it's mostly because they want to have their own projection for their zone.
Yeah, it's because British National Grid's the only projection you can use if you're a government agency presenting data in Britain, unless you're doing it offshore, in which case you're allowed to use one of the European projections. But you must have that one, and you can have some others. Yes, but you have to have that one. Most of your data comes in that projection. People think it doesn't look right if you don't use it, is the major problem. But we just replaced where the map was coming from. So we were actually pulling that from a different GeoServer. Any other questions?
So how are you, you're searching for sponsors to sponsor this feature? How are you thinking of crowdfunding, set up a crowdfunding, or how would you like to, for
right
people
now
to reach you?
We are discussing with different entities. Some of them say, yes, I want to, okay, how much money do you want to? So when we start talking about real numbers, it's like everything vanishes.
Because it's too expensive.
But the thing is, in Bolsena, we have already done work through this. This is not a Spanish keyword. Now I realize it. How can I? So we have a branch that already has work on this, but we estimate, yes, I have done this.
Emergency.
So we still have, we estimated, I don't know how much was estimated, but it's still half of the work has to be done, and I don't know how much in money is it, but where is it? It should be. So the solar, I think, is this one? No, is it? This is. This was another attempt. Okay, I don't remember which one, but it should be around S maybe. So there's work being done right now, 22 days ago. Francois is still working, but we are working on our free time, on scratches that we get from leftovers from projects, and so this is just too slow. So the master branch is going too fast, so if we don't fix this now, it will get just diverged. So I don't know if we should do a crowdfunding or what. I'm going to try also in FOSS4GE International to see if I can get some money. I guess that with 5-6 entities, it will be more than covered.